I've had this cold for a little over a week and I'm definitely tired of it. So let's make some pumpkin pie. So for this recipe, it's a recipe that my mom's made for I don't even know how many years. The only thing that she doesn't put in it is nutmeg, and that's just because she doesn't like the taste of it. So if you're not wanting any nutmeg, it tastes just as delicious as if you put it in. So we're gonna start off with pumpkin puree. This doesn't have anything except pumpkin in it. Now this can is 796 mils, so I only actually need half of this can. We're gonna throw that in. And this recipe actually makes 2 pies. Okay, so there we go. Now I need 1.5 cups of sugar. Okay, there I've got my 1.5 cups of sugar, 1.5 tablespoons of flour, and I'm gonna put the recipe down below if you guys wanna follow along. So that was the flour, and I need 3 eggs. It's funny, I picked these up a couple of days ago from a local farmer just down the street, and I only have 3 left, so it's perfect that I'm doing this recipe today, because after this, I am completely out of eggs. Okay, 2. And there's my 3. Now, like I said, my mom doesn't add any nutmeg to it, but I really like nutmeg, so I need 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. There's my 1. And then after you put in the cinnamon, I'm gonna freshly ground some in. And I really, really like nutmeg, so I'm gonna put about half a teaspoon in there. And I really like to warm up my pumpkin spice. This goes against the recipe completely, but I just do a tiny dash. So I do like 1/8 of a teaspoon of ginger. So I've just got my 1/4 teaspoon. It's like not even half full, maybe a little bit more. Of the ginger, I toss that in. And that's pretty much it. So I'll give this a whirl. Just crush my yolks. And then the last thing that you want to put in is 2 cups of milk. It smells amazing. Even with this cold, I can smell all the spices. And this pumpkin pie, if you want a warm hug on a horrible day, make this and you'll thank me later. It is just fantastic. I don't only make pumpkin pie at Thanksgiving. I always keep the pumpkin puree off to the side in the pantry, and I make pumpkin pie pancakes and waffles. I make pumpkin pie with it. I don't care what time of year it is, you can always have pumpkin pie. That's just the way I feel. So this is definitely one of my favorite pies. Okay, now this is really, really runny, okay, but it will solidify once it's baked. So now I normally don't make homemade pie crust. You can if you want, with whatever recipe you have. I still haven't been able to find a pie shell recipe that I actually really like. So I totally cheat. I just go to the freezer section. It's usually with like the frozen fruit or the puff pastries or the phyllo pastries. And I use the tender flake. I like the deep dish because you get more, you can fit more of it into there. Now it comes with 2 pie shells. So all I do is I'm gonna set the oven at 400 and I'm gonna bake these at 15 minutes to start off, just completely empty as they are. Once that 15 minutes passes, I'm gonna then pull them out slowly. Now you might notice I've got a plastic bowl. This is so it's easier for me to pour it into the pie shells, because I like to pack these things as full as I absolutely possibly can. And what I find is if I were to pull these out after they're finished baking, put them on here and pour this in there, I find it really difficult to then put them on the tray and slide them into the oven without spilling them all over the place and making a complete mess. So I'm gonna try and show you what I do. But essentially, I pull this out. I use this as I squish the edges just to kind of make it a spout. I don't actually lift this out of the oven. I pour them while they're in the oven, and then I just slide the shelf back in, and then I keep baking them. I've set the oven at 400, and I'm just waiting for it to heat up before I pop these guys in. They've been baking in the oven for about 15 minutes, so I'm just gonna give this a quick whisk. Pull those guys out, and I'll show you how I pour it with spilling the least amount. And now we set it for 35 minutes and it'll be all done. Okay, so I wanted to show you, because this is my first time cooking with this stove or with this oven, and it's not overly, it takes a lot longer than my old one. So do you see how it's kind of, trying to show you how it's still wiggling and it's quite loose? Okay, you want that to be a lot more solid. See how this area right here isn't really giving at all, and the middle still looks like a pool? That's what you do not want, okay? So I know I said 35 minutes, but honestly, this part depends on your oven, okay? Mine has been baking for 35 minutes, and I need at least another, like my old oven, I could have done 35 minutes, no problem. This one, I can't. Okay, so like I said, this oven is really, really slow. So I ended up having to put it in for another 15 minutes, but I just want to show you what it actually looks like. So I'm shaking them and they're not moving. Okay, it's jiggling a little bit, but that's what you want to see. And then you know it's ready.